right, folks, buckle up those metaphorical seatbelts because today we're heading into the Old Testament's ritual zone. And yep, there's blood. Ever wonder why the Bible gets so graphic about sacrifices? Like, is God really just into barbecue, or is there something deeper going on? Picture this. You're at a backyard grill out, but instead of ribs, it's a ram on the altar, and the sauce is symbolic life force. And here's the kicker. A single Hebrew word choice in Leviticus could be the difference between calling the Bible contradictory or calling it brilliant. Stick around, because this one's going to start in the splatter zone and end at the foot of the cross. Hey there, truth seekers. Welcome to the Bible Difficulties and Answers podcast. I'm your host, Lance Smith, and I'm excited you're here. If you're new, this is where we tackle those so-called Bible gotchas that skeptics love to lob, like theological curveballs, and believers sometimes sidestep like they're dodging rain in a Florida summer. But instead of dodging, we dig deep. And if you've been listening for a while, you know the rhythm. Clear thinking, grounded faith, and a few dad-level analogies to keep it human, like explaining quantum physics with pizza slices. Today, we're jumping into Leviticus. Yes, that's the book that scared off more Bible reading plans than Revelation ever has. It's the priest's manual that reads like IKEA instructions for building holiness. But hang in there, because once you understand what's really happening in these blood rituals, Leviticus becomes one of the most vivid pictures of God's mercy you'll ever read. Let's roll. Our challenge today comes from the Big Book of Bible Difficulties by Norman Geisler and Thomas Howe. Here's the issue. In Leviticus 3:2, the priest is told to splatter the blood against all sides of the altar, light mist, holy style. But in Deuteronomy 12:27, the command is to pour out the blood on the altar, full floodgates open. So which is it, sprinkle or pour? Is that a contradiction or just a detail we've misunderstood? If you're a skeptic right now yelling, "Gotcha!" from the back row, stay tuned. This is where the plot thickens. Geisler and Howe quote the great Jewish scholar Maimonides, who basically says, both are right. Part of the blood was sprinkled on the altar itself, and the rest was poured at its base. Two actions, one offering. Like seasoning a steak, a dash on top, pull at the bottom for that perfect char. No contradiction, just precision. Some scholars even note that in Hebrew, the word for pour can sometimes describe a vigorous splash. So what looks like two different commands might just be describing one continuous ritual, like two eyewitnesses at a car wash, one saying sprayed and the other hosed. Bottom line, no conflict, just two camera angles on the same sacred act. But here's where it gets juicy. What's the Hebrew saying under the hood? So let's look closer at the Hebrew. In Leviticus 3:2, the key verb is zārak, to sprinkle, scatter, or throw. The New Living Translation captures it beautifully. Lay your hand on the animal's head and slaughter it at the entrance of the tabernacle. Then Aaron's sons will splatter the blood against all sides of the altar. It's not a gentle drizzle. It's an intentional, forceful act of offering, like Jackson Pollock painting the divine abstract. Most major translations, the NIV, ESV, NASB, all follow suit with splash or sprinkle. The word for a literal pour, shaphak, is different. That one appears in other verses for draining or pouring out blood at the altar's base. So again, you've got two related but distinct actions in one ritual sequence. When you put that together, It's not a contradiction, it's a choreography, a holy dance where every step seals the deal. And speaking of deals, why blood? Why not say a PowerPoint presentation on forgiveness? Now, let's ask that deeper question. Why all the blood in the first place? It's not just ancient splatter art. It's God's way of saying, sin stains deep, but I've got the cleaner. Scholar P.M. Venter from the University of Pretoria explains it like this. In Leviticus, reconciliation with God happens through the blood because the blood represents life itself. A direct quote, sacrifice and blood are the main reasons for reconciling man with God. Okay, fun fact, Venter's piece just got a digital glow-up on ResearchGate this August. Timeless truth with some fresh pixels. It's not gore, it's theology in motion. The offerer's sin pollutes the holy space, and the life of the animal symbolically absorbs that pollution. When the priest applies the blood, it purifies the relationship, like an oil spill cleanup for the soul. Venter says, reconciliation here isn't sentimental, it's costly. Sin requires life in exchange for life. Blood is the bridge between holiness and humanity. In a world of quick fixes, this is the original no pain, no gain. But it doesn't stop at the altar's edge. Scholar Joshua Viss at Duke University expands this in his dissertation, The Purification Offering of Leviticus and the Sacrificial Offering of Jesus. He argues that blood in Leviticus purifies not only the sanctuary, but also the people themselves. He writes this, the blood of the khatat offering, which contains the animal's nephesh, acts as a ritual cleanser. That's the soul, the life force, the oomph that makes a goat more than mutton. When it's applied, the impurity is removed and forgiveness is achieved. And then that's the same two-step cleansing pattern that shows up again in the New Testament. Hebrew tells us Christ's blood cleanses our conscience now and one day will purify creation completely. The old ritual pointed to the new reality. So when Jesus offered his blood, he wasn't just fulfilling Leviticus, he was finishing it. Like the ultimate plot twist, the lamb becomes the lion. Now, let's bridge it to us, because if this is just ancient history, why bother? Fair question, life's messy enough without ritual reruns. David Mathis, writing for Desiring God, notes how Paul borrows the same imagery in Philippians 2:17 with this. Even if I am to be poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrificial offering of your faith, I am glad and will rejoice with you all. That's Levitical language. Paul's saying, my life is on the altar, poured out for God's glory, and you're good. Matthew calls it a sacrificial life. All of me to all of you, O God. Okay, it's the peace offering brought forward into Christian living. We don't shed blood anymore. We pour out our time, our gifts, our love, like coffee into a friend's mug on a tough morning. And for a parallel punch, Cornelius Van Dam's 1991 take on burnt offerings echoes this. Priests sprinkle the blood around the altar, that's Leviticus 1:5, sealing total dedication. Like Paul's drink pour completing the feast, it's all one aroma rising to God. And if that's not enough connective tissue, Daniel Bregg, in Eucharistic Overtones in Hebrews, connects these same rituals to communion. In the Old Covenant, the blood was sprinkled externally. In the New, the symbol of that blood is taken internally through the cup. Bregg says, what was once applied outside is now received within. It's a beautiful symmetry. God no longer just meets us at the altar, He indwells us by His Spirit. The feast that began in Leviticus continues at the Lord's table, from tabernacle tents to kitchen tables. Talk about an upgrade. So let's land the plane. First, there's no contradiction between Leviticus 3:2 and Deuteronomy 12:27. The priest sprinkled part of the blood and poured the rest. It's not an either or, it's a both and, like faith and works dancing together. Second, those actions weren't random. They told the story of reconciliation, the cost of sin, the value of life, and the holiness of God. Messy? Yeah, sure, like my first attempt at grilling brisket. But every drop whispers mercy. And third, through Christ, those ancient rituals take on living meaning. His blood was both sprinkled and poured, cleansing us completely. And now we're called to live poured out lives for others. Leviticus reminds us that God's love is never abstract. It's embodied, sacrificial, and yes, sometimes messy. But every splatter, every pour points to grace. What if today you let one pour out a kind word, a bold prayer, echo that altar? Next week, we're heading into Leviticus 5:18. Was the sacrifice brought to the priest or to the Lord? Spoiler, it's a divine partnership that reveals something profound about mediation and grace. Quick question for you. What's one splatter in your life that's teaching you mercy? Hit my email and share. Drop it on our Facebook page for a community chat. I'm Lance Smith, and you've been listening to the Bible Difficulties and Answers podcast. If today's episode stirred your curiosity, check out BibleDifficultiesAndAnswers.podbean.com or email me at BibleDifficultiesAndAnswers@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you listen. Until next time, I'm wishing you good luck, good health, and God bless. So long, everybody.